Oh!
What's going on? Welcome to Dog Days.
Professional.
Wow. Just wow. Can you take a minute and just stop? Close your eyes and make sure to yield to oncoming traffic.
Good driving.
I think if people listen to our podcast driving, we're probably responsible for at least one crash or very philosophical shit has probably made someone like have a identity crisis.
Yeah, that
and
existential segment a couple episodes ago might have caused a few, at least.
You know, I actually
Yeah.
think that's what happened with the Tesla crash.
Oh no.
The guy got
There
out
was
of
a
the
Tesla
driver's-
crash?
Yeah, there is a Tesla crash the other day where both the people in the car died because it hit a tree and like burst into flames, but nobody was in the
shit.
driver's seat. Like, it was literally just
Oh.
there was a guy in the passenger seat, and the owner of the car was in the back seat.
Why? Do you know why they were in the driver's seat? Like, I know they have the self-driving capabilities, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be behind the wheel of that.
So there's a couple weird things at play here. One is there's like a sensor in the car that makes sure that like your hands are on the wheel. Like if your hands come off the wheel, then the car will like start to slow down and stop. But people can like jerry-rig solutions around that. So maybe that's what they did. But secondly, Elon Musk tweeted that the car was not in autopilot when this happened. He said that the car they didn't even purchase autopilot with that vehicle.
Wait. So not only was no one in autopilot, but there was also no one in the driver's seat.
Yes.
Who was driving?
That's a good question.
Was it like that scene in Anchorman 2 where they're like all in the back and then they're like, hey, who's driving the trailer? And then there's like 3 flips off the freeway, like.
Genuinely, I think it might have very well been like that.
That's even harder, because then that means someone had to get in the freeway and then climb out of the driver's seat. That's harder than just driving.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I buy that. That doesn't make.
Wait, Brandon, do you know the full story?
That all I know is what I've shared.
Okay, so they were in a freeway. The car did not have autopilot at all, and no one was in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a freeway.
That
I think
just
it was
sounds
kind of like a. I feel like it was like a road in the woods because it seemed like there were a lot of trees around, and it was not like there was a median or a like guardrail.
Do you think that could have been like a planned suicide from 2 rich people that owned a Tesla? Because I mean,
they're investigating it right now. So
2 federal agencies investigating a fatal crash in Texas.
Apologies. I didn't realize it was going to blast the video. At the
that was pretty cool. Though.
How can I hear your sound?
I could hear that.
Technology.
That was weird.
2 federal agencies investigating a fatal crash of a Tesla, which appeared to have nobody in the driver's seat.
You'd expect Teslas to have like some kind of security measure to not allow that to happen. Like if no one's in the driver's seat, then the car just doesn't.
You would think
accelerate.
That like it would just literally at least beep at you, like, "Hey, how is this car moving right now?" Yeah. Car's already like if your passenger person doesn't buckle, that beeps at you.
I have a question. So you guys, I have no idea about like money, like average salaries in San Francisco at all. I don't know anything, and you guys don't need to be specific at all with me. Could you guys buy a Tesla, or like how long would you have to save to buy a Tesla? Like the simplest.
The beauty of it is we're lucky enough to live in a city where everything's pretty close, so like really don't need a Tesla. But I know from my financial standpoint, like I'm not in a place where I really should.
Okay.
It's one of those. That's a nice car, and that's maybe if I was like in my upper 20s, like 30s, I might start. If I was in a good spot, I might think about it, but it's not like we're making enough to where I'd be like, yeah, let's get a Tesla, you know? Not
I would consider
Teslas
buying
used
a
to
Tesla
be,
and then renting it for Like,
Mm.
there's a website called Turo, and on Turo, basically, it's like a car rental site, and anyone can just like list their car, almost like Airbnb, but for cars. And there's some Teslas that will go for like 300, yeah, like 300 a day to rent it, like for a Model X or something. So I was even thinking that with the Cybertruck. Like, if you bought a Cybertruck, it'd be expensive, but you would probably put it on a site like that, and people would pay like good money just to rent it for a day, just so that they could like drive around in a Cybertruck. Because when that comes out, it's gonna be so weird and like different that people like it's gonna be kind of cool. I think.
Because I think there's been a shift, right? Because when Teslas came out, I was, I think, living in San Diego, or maybe not when they first came out, but when they, I don't know, like became very popular.
Yeah.
I think I was living in San Diego, and they were like status symbol, right? They were like very rich person, like car.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think it's shifted down a bit because with, I don't know. It's just an impression I get, but I don't know if it's real.
I mean,
That's
it's
how
one of those.
Teslas ran their business too.
The amount of their manufacturing capabilities have expanded more now than they were when they came out. So there's now more of them. So then more cars, the price is going to go down, even though the quality's still pretty good. So like Brendan said, it's kind of part of the rollout plan. Like this was kind of the plan all along to start out with really expensive ones and have more affordable ones over time, so they could start like starting to make more money out of that.
They started with the Model S, which was like their sports car. And then that was kind of like a novelty item. There was like an electric sports car. It was really cool. And actually, Elon he's not the founder of Tesla. He like kind of bullied his way into Tesla. It was actually a company by two other dudes who were basically making like electric sports cars. Elon was interested in that. And so, yeah, pretty much like at first they only sold this electric sports car, which was a Model S. And they made pretty good margins on that. Because of the markup, because it was like a luxury good, and they were able to kind of like make their cars less and less luxury and less expensive over time because they were profiting off the more luxury type vehicles. Until eventually, when they put out the Model 3, that was their like everyday person car, and that's the one that you see everywhere. I mean, for the most part, like when you see a Tesla, that's usually what people are driving. Then they also had like before that, they had like the Model X. The X is the one with like the butterfly wing doors. It's like the big SUV model. And they have the S. They also have the Y, which is kind of like in between the S and the 3. But what's really interesting is I'm pretty sure that the Model 3 was actually supposed to be the Model E, but they couldn't buy the trademark name Model E because another car company already had a car that was a Model E. I forget what it was. Because the whole point, like, this is kind of crazy. I don't know if it's true or not, but Elon wanted it to be S, E, X, and Y. Like, this man was thinking everything through. And then since he couldn't get E, he made a Model 3.
Yeah. He's a fucking toddler.
He is, though. It's actually kind of funny that, like, one of the most influential people in the whole world is a Twitter troll.
Yeah. Damn. I wonder who's going to be the first person to write a biography about him.
Oh, that's interesting. There's some, it's like a Bloomberg documentary about him. They'll have an interesting biography.
There might be one out right now.
Talking about, sorry, Shane, were you saying something?
No,
Gonna cut out.
That's it.
Okay. Talking about documentaries. I watched The Push.
Oh, what'd you think?
Bro, it's definitely one of the craziest things I've seen on Netflix for sure, and it's very memorable. So for everyone that doesn't know, The Push is a documentary. It's a full-length like movie, where this guy who's like I forgot what he is, because I watched The Push right after I watched In and of Itself, which Ben recommended. The first guy was a magician. The second guy from The Push, I don't know exactly what he is. But anyway, he did a social experiment where he took people that were just, I don't know how he got them, but they were like bystanders. He got him off the street and he told him, oh fuck, I remember. He told him it was for a business like opportunity, that they had to come in. I'm not gonna go through the whole plot. It's too complicated. But he basically tries to define how easy it is for a person to kill another person. Shit, I think I'm glitching.
No, I heard that.
Okay. He basically tries to figure out how easy it is for a random person out of the street to kill another person. And the plan is very like complicated and shit, but it is very scientific. Like the step by step that he goes through is very like interesting to see how each thing he does kind of
We're losing you a little bit now.
nudges the person in the way of like, all right, let me know when I'm back.
You're on nudges the person.
Yeah. Okay, so I was saying, am I frozen? I can't tell. This is
You're
weird.
good.
I feel like on the spotlight. He nudges the person little by little to make them a murderer, and that's very interesting. Subconsciously. And yeah, Brandon, you've seen it, right?
No, but I want to see it. I want to see it because I think social experiments like that are so fascinating.
Yeah.
Especially something of like that magnitude. Like this person, theoretically, I mean, like, how crazy would it be if that person got arrested at the end of the episode, at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that'd be
Yeah.
moral.
I think it'd be immoral, or even if they just pretended to arrest them.
Yeah, that'd be
That person
Bro,
would be scared
the
for their
whole
life.
thing
That
is-
person already might be fucked up in the head just from that.
low key.
Do they have to like sign
Yeah.
a waiver or something?
It doesn't show. I mean, they definitely signed a waiver at the end, for sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe in the beginning, like, because there had to be an excuse for the camera to be around. But
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Like there had to be something, but like
They clearly didn't tell the person though, like, hey, we're gonna try and get you to murder someone. And like, if someone tried to coerce me into that, I'd be very upset with them.
Yeah. No, and like you have to see the movie. By the end, the people he gets to do that experiment with, they're very upset. Like they're very distraught. They're kind of like, yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I would fucking shit my pants. Like I'd not sleep for like a week after someone did that to me.
I think,
but I guess it's just dumb people. I think it's very easily manipulated people. That kind of stuff doesn't stick to them as much. I don't know.
I think it's fascinating when, not like in a good way, but fascinating when people get put into situations where they feel like they're very deep into it, but like they started shallow and then there's like a drop off and then they kind of like fall into it, but they can't get out because they're already deeper than they ever anticipated going. And that's almost like, even though it's fictional, it's kind of like what we watched the other day, Shane Creep, where it's like, okay, this guy starts out filming for this guy. He makes a personal connection to him, even though he thinks he's like creepy. He's like, okay, well, like this guy really opened up to me, so I trust him and he trusts me. And like, even if he is a little creepy, it's fine. Like, I'll continue doing this job. He like even paid me and stuff. And then just like as it like crescendos, he gets more and more and more like weird and creepy. But this guy is going along with it because he's already kind of taken the first step. And I feel like once you take that first step, you just kind of like get entranced. And like, even if you think it's a bad situation, a lot of times people won't get out of it because like their fight or flight won't kick in.
Yeah. I wish more people did that. I wish that was a more popular genre of
Yeah,
movies.
I feel like it happens in horror movies, bro. It's like Midsummer. There's our plug right there. Like
The
she
official.
starts doing unthinkable things because
Yeah.
this like community builds like a trust in her and like starts slowly just easing her into the idea of something that's out of the ordinary until eventually she's like so deep in it that there's not really any chance of leaving. Where if like at the start you'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what the end point is going to look like, anyone would be like, no. But when you're at like step 9 out of 10, you'd almost rather just go to 10 than to like go back to 0.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
And then sometimes people get really deep into something and then everyone in the world fucking revolts and they realize that it was a massive mistake. So they like walk back all of their plans.
Interesting. It almost sounds familiar. Sounds oddly familiar. What could that be?
You know, sometimes it involves like leaders of foreign nations, the heart and soul
Wait.
of countries
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah. That's like what something super, something brings everyone together. I don't know.
Like if everyone's super,
No one will.
no one will be.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
Do you know where we're going with this?
do we want to pull that string?
Oh yeah.
Is it the? Okay, go ahead.
The Super League.
Yeah.
Wow. What a weird 48 hours it's been being a soccer or football fan, depending on where you're from. It's
Brennan, do you know about it?
Yeah.
I've kept him up to date, man. It's been crazy.
Okay. Rose, it's a very it kind of arose a lot of interesting conversations about sports. That like in that way, I think it was a positive experience because a lot of people are thinking about things that they never would have thought if it wasn't for this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like the fact that teams are organizing amongst themselves and not needing UEFA or FIFA is a good thing. Like I wish that was the way that people did things because in the current state of things, like UEFA and FIFA are just massive money laundering schemes, and there's all these corruption plots and shit. But on the other hand, it's a shitty thing that they're basically what they were saying. What Tottenham was saying was, "I'm too good to play against Aston Villa."
Bro, it's
So like, I just want to play against the same 11 teams forever, and that's just like not how sports work. Like, you're taking away a lot of things from the people who would be watching the games and aren't anymore. You'd be taking away from like, you're basically saying competition isn't that important for me. And if you're a sports fan, competition is the most important thing for you.
I'm gonna
So it's
take
just
step back real quick because we haven't actually
Ah.
explained what happened yet. So before
Yeah.
we get too
Yeah.
deep in
Yeah.
this,
Very true.
so what the Super League was
I like that you said
12
was.
of the wealthiest football teams in Europe, 6 in England, 3 in Italy, 3 in Spain, decided that
Was
they were
PSG in it?
No, PSG declined. Those 12 teams decided that they were going to form their own competition called the European Super League. Now, how this would work, this would be an additional competition that I think goes year round. And basically, the goal of this competition was purely financial. This was a deal that would have gotten the teams involved hundreds of millions of additional dollars or pounds, whatever, per year, and revenue that they could then spend on whichever players or stadiums or whatever they wanted. And that's an issue for several reasons. While one, while it's cool to have all these big teams play against each other, the the competition's not special if you're seeing Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Like that's whenever those two teams play, that the El Clasico, that's a big event. Like you get your popcorn and that's gonna be a good time. Not special if it's every other week. It's not special when it's that often. But to get even more into it, when you're given hundreds of millions of dollars in extra revenue per year, that gives you a huge advantage over all the other teams in your league. And these are already the richest teams in their respective leagues. That's why they had the power to try and make this move. So now they're given hundreds of millions of dollars of more money to then get more players. Like these leagues are stacked already as it is. The last thing these teams need is more money. And
who's giving the money?
sponsors. It would have been a huge sponsorship deal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Broadcasting sponsors, JP Morgan also was a huge sponsor, that the bank.
Yeah.
So there was like some big money behind the deal, just because they saw it as purely a money making scheme. It is really all it is. But Jadu, what you were hinting at, and I think what really pissed people off was European soccer in general is places a huge emphasis on earning your title. Like, don't get me wrong, like UEFA, FIFA, it's not perfect. They are very corrupt and they have significant issues. But the way those leagues run is any team who's good enough to win has the potential to win. A team in England's fourth league can move all the way to the top league and potentially win if they are legitimately good enough. And that you have to earn your place.
Bro, Leicester won the Premier League 4 years ago, bro.
That's a good example. That was why.
Yeah, but they're not super, bro.
That was why it was so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like even for myself, I really didn't start watching soccer, like watching Premier League regularly until 2017. So I missed that run. But Leicester was a team in the B League, the championship. They're the league below Premier League. They were there for a while and they barely moved up. I think 2014, 2015, and they almost got demoted. In European soccer, if you're placed too low in standings, you're kicked out of the league. You're moved down. You have to fight just to stay up, let alone win. So when they moved up, they barely made it past the first year. They were really close to being knocked back down. Then the next year, they won the whole thing. It was one of the biggest sports upsets of all time. Like they went up against these massive.
Because it's not like there are upsets in like the World Cup, but the World Cup is like a 10-game run or like a 7-game run. A 38-game run, and you beat Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, like that's unheard of. I've never seen anything like that.
It'd be like if UCSD's men's basketball team beat the NBA championships. Like it'd be like it was so unheard of for them to even put up a fight, let alone win, that like it shocked the soccer world. It was like a Cinderella story. It really proved that if you are good enough,
Probably one of the biggest ones of all time in the sport.
yeah, easily. At least at the very least, the last few decades, like it really proved that everyone can win, which is why people were so upset that you had this new league showing up where it was just for the wealthiest teams. There was no way to get in besides, hey, we're just going to form our club of our rich friends and make our own league. Sucks to suck. Like, and a lot of these teams aren't even doing well right now. Like Tottenham is like barely in like 7th right now, I think, in their league. Arsenal's not much better. These were teams that none of them are doing that. Most of them aren't doing that great, and yet they think they have a right to make millions of more dollars just because they're already wealthy. It is just so inherently like wrong of them to do, and it really touched a nerve all across like soccer, really the soccer community as a whole. Like people saw this as a threat to the future of the sport, and people kind of freaked out to the point where like politicians were starting to get involved. Like they were threatening like action against these teams, which was kind of absurd until you realize like how big football is in Europe. I know across the world, people do not like their sports being messed with.
Preach it. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, Shane. I have two things to add.
All week.
Fuck, I'm glitching again. Hold on. I'm back.
Welcome back.
All right. Two things to add. First one is, the, I guess, less obvious and more evil part of all this is to think that out of the 12 teams, 9 just have an endless flow of mysterious money coming to them. The 6 English teams and the 3 Italian teams, I don't know about the Spanish, but probably not, but I'm not too sure. But the other 9 for sure just have a weird constant stream of money coming from the Middle East and China. So basically,
To speak on that, there a few of them are very wealthy American billionaires. Like Manchester City is an example of like I think they're like Saudi owners, I believe, like really wealthy from there. But
I think,
UAE,
I think Shad Khan owns a team as well.
He might, yeah. But like Manchester United's owned by the Glazers, who own. Also, I think they own a NFL team as well, and I know that the owner of the Boston Red Sox is also the owner of Liverpool. So,
okay, that's cool.
But continue.
That's better than Manchester City, who's owned by like UAE, like petro billionaires.
I mean, they all agreed, so they're not. I don't know if they're much better.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just convenient for them to prize like money over sportsmanship. And the second thing is major kudos to Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, and PSG, who could just as easily as the other 12 have gotten into this stupid idea, but didn't.
They said no. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of the German teams all said no, right?
No German teams agreed to it. Yeah.
It's so crazy to me how this kind of like, it seemed like it came out of nowhere, but it also seemed like it took a lot of planning and organization. It's like, how do they keep this in stealth mode for so long?
There were whispers about this for a bit now, but it was one of those things where like, oh, potentially, maybe, possibly, like, and then it happened and everyone's like, oh my God, like this is real. Like which was, freaked everyone out.
But now it's for sure not happening.
There, at the very least, it's not going to be anytime soon. They might try and do something like this later on, but they did not anticipate the amount of pushback, unanimous pushback that they got from everyone, from the leagues, from the governments, from the fans, from UEFA and FIFA. I mean, if you can manage to make UEFA and FIFA look like the good guys, you've really messed up. Like, that is legitimately impressive.
Good point.
Because Brandon, UEFA and FIFA were like, we are banning you. If you're among the 12, we're banning you from more competition. So then, basically, like someone like Kevin De Bruyne, who's like a Belgian player for Manchester City, who's like one of the best soccer players in the world for the last like 5 years,
Top 3
would not be able to play in the World Cup. Like, imagine the best players not being able to play in the World Cup.
Yeah, that'd be whack. Neymar
by itself?
No, Neymar could play.
Neymar would be fine.
Yeah.
It's I mean, that's how big of a threat those leagues saw this new league. It was like, to elaborate a little bit more in case our listener doesn't know the difference between FIFA and UEFA. FIFA does the World Cups. They do all the international fixtures. UEFA does the Europa League, the Champions League, and they organize a lot of the European leagues for just clubs. So
what I don't understand is I can see why UEFA would be really against a Super League. Why would FIFA care?
It's still a financial threat. I mean, having this separate competition is still a huge issue. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, but I was waiting for you.
No, sorry. There was like a beeping noise. I wasn't sure if that was coming from you. So I think it's partially because they see it as a threat. I mean, I'm sure the UEFA and FIFA groups are essentially one and the same group. I'm not sure who there's much of a difference there, but it's a lot of the same people, so that it was seen as a threat due to that.
There's probably some lobbying from UEFA to FIFA to like push back on the Super League together, because they'd be stronger that way. And also FIFA for the longest time has been trying to organize this Club World Cup competition that would happen every 4 years with 20 some clubs. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the super, if the Super League happened, then who the fuck would care about the Club World Cup?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. Because I was gonna say I can't imagine that before Super League, UEFA and FIFA were really close buddies.
Yeah, not super close.
Do they work together?
They plan their events around each other, so there's definitely some pretty consistent communication there.
Gotcha.
And I mean, the Champions League would have taken the bigger hit because who's gonna watch the Champions League every year if there's this other weird, whack, lame Champions League with teams who just happen to be rich. It's just kind of a weird situation. But long story short, a lot of the teams have backed out at this point, which I'm relieved. And it's already leading some people to get fired. Manchester United is going to get rid of Ed Woodward, who was he wasn't the owner, but he was the guy right underneath the owner. So getting rid of him's already something people are pretty excited about. So I'm hoping.
Bro, Shane. Sorry, I always interrupt you. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, you got excited. It's chill. But all I was gonna say was that there's gonna be more pressure for teams to start moving away from these billionaire owners, I think, and start moving towards either a more fan-centric ownership system like they have in other, I think, German leagues. They have
Germany.
Yeah, the Bundesliga, where fans take up over
Bundesliga.
The fans take up 50%, 51% ownership.
Yeah, every team in the Bundesliga has to be owned 50+1% or more by fans, I think. And there's all this financial responsibility stuff that happens over there. You can't really just be responsible for a huge brand like Walmart or whatever, Tesla, and then just name a team after you. It has to I think you have to represent the team for 10 years before you can put your name in the club's name. It's the top of sports management is Germany. It's
that's
part. That might be part of the reason why the German clubs said no to. They might have been no one's going to say yes to this. So that could be a part of it.
That sounds similar to I know how it's kind of sounds similar to how India does their club team management, where it's 60 + 9% has to be owned by the people.
Similar, yeah. It's very interesting.
Fuck you. Are you a fucking toddler fucking Elon Musk? But
Walk around to that, and my trust is betrayed.
All right, and with that, thanks for listening to Dog Days.
I've been
listening to Dog Days.
Go have yourself a happy drink.
I have been Jadu, and for my Hong Kong news of the day. Also, something I have to point out. I'm not gonna say I'm pissed off. I'm slightly annoyed at our Hong Kong listener base because it's dropped from 2% of our listener base to 1%.
Okay,
so you're on thin ice.
Yeah,
you're on thin ice.
We might have to start picking a new nation.
Not call out the one person listening. We appreciate you listening. Is what I mean to say. And
no, Hong Kong, you're on thin ice. If this shit keeps going that way, we're gonna do some Turkey news hour because that's also 1% right now.
That doesn't
so
accent. That's fun. But
I'm only gonna read half of the headline because it's our Hong Kong listener base is halved, so I'm only gonna read half of the thing. Hong Kong facing critical moment in seizing Greater Bay Area opportunities. That's it.
oh wow, that,
Oh, okay. Shout out the Bay Area.
that sounded like the full headline. Truthfully,
The Bay of Pigs.
different bay.
Right.
Yeah, and my name is Shane. Yeah, don't form your own league. Don't listen to your fans. Be good owners. And with that said, this was a
Yeah.
nice little shorter Dog Days episode. Have a lovely rest of your day, afternoon, or evening. And we'll see you next time.
And good night.